Okay, what is social media? Certainly, all of you who have Facebook pages know you want likes. Does anyone know Kevin Hart? Okay, I think he has 6 million likes. I mean, he doesn't have to do anything. He can make a movie and everyone will get a chance to go see it. Even Beyonce used social media to launch her newest CD without any promotion at all because of social media. President Obama conducted his first Twitter town hall session in July of 2011. Vice President Biden now also tweets, and the mayor of Syracuse actually conducted her first town hall tweet in October of last year. So AABE is not far behind. Even though we're 37 years old, we are not far behind on the social media curve, and today we're trying to catch up. So I applaud the leaders of the organization for such an outstanding, innovative spirit to move things forward. So Instagram, of course, all of us like the idea of having our pictures posted. So Instagram allows you to do that, and you can make quick comments about them as well. Google Plus. Does anyone have a Google Plus account? A few Google, okay. You know, we want to do a +1. That's kind of the new cool thing with Google Plus. And when you actually Google yourself, you may not know it, but Google pretty much owns the majority of all the social media outlets that are out there. Of course, you have Apple and Google competing, but it depends on if you have an Apple phone or iPad device or a Google or an Android device under some of the other systems as well. But those two are your primary platforms for social media. Of course, on your Twitter sites, you're actually making tweets. Does anyone know how many characters in a tweet? Yes, ma'am. 140. So it's 140 characters. So you cannot, for all of my great, smart engineers in the room, you cannot put the white paper on Twitter. It will not work. However, you can streamline it and abbreviate. I know most of us went to school and we thought abbreviations and kind of these little shortened words were not cool. Well, now they are on Twitter. And that's how we're speaking these days. So it's very important that we conduct those sort of conversations in a very short, succinct way. RSS feeds are feeds that are allocated. If you happen to try to find information on certain sites, you can follow their RSS feeds and get everything they post at any time. But there's a subscription associated with that. There's not a cost. You just have to have a subscription. My LinkedIn fans, where are you? Okay, who has 500 LinkedIn friends? Who has 800? 1,000? Anybody? Okay, 1,000. Okay, 2,000. Anybody has 2,000 LinkedIn friends? Wow, how many do you have? 2135. Any other number over here, ma'am? How many? Lots. 2,000. Anybody has 3,000? Okay, we're not quite that ambitious, but we're getting there. So LinkedIn is a professional site as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Most of us realize the little A with the circle around it is, of course, the @ symbol. And when you see the pound symbol, you think that's what? A pound on your telephone, right? That's actually a hashtag. So that's how we're going to follow AABE. And we're going to talk about those quick hashtags as we move on. So we'll go to the next screen as well. Common social sites, just feel free to click through these, please. AV, Twitter, we've talked about that already. The other sites, you want to get likes on your Facebook page. You want to use LinkedIn for your business profiles. The QR code, I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. Instagram, posting your photos. Flickr, also posting photos. Pinterest, for those who like that as well. And YouTube, any YouTube subscribers with a specialized YouTube channel? Okay, you have a YouTube channel? Awesome, awesome. AABE does too. AABE 123. AABE, 2013. And so all those sites are really important. I'm going to cue in just for a second on the little squiggly code. In order to use the QR reader for AABE, you have to download a QR code. You have to download a QR reader. So on your Google Play Store or your iTunes App Store, just type in, search QR reader. And the QR reader downloads, and all you have to do when you go up to something like you're about to purchase an item or you want to read a code, it just scans it. It's almost like taking a picture. So anybody has a QR code reader on their phones? Outstanding. Who does not? We can help you today. There's help for that. All right, very good, very good. The next couple of slides are very short and succinct, and we'll go through those as well. This is our AABE Twitter page. We're asking all of you in the room to follow us. Take your phones out right now. You know, used to be in business meeting phones where it's kind of taboo. Well, they still kind of are, but we want you at this moment to take your phones out and follow us on Twitter. We really want to increase our following. There's a lot of people here who have these devices. So right now, if you go to AABE, it's this is our username, @_AABE. That allows you to follow us with AABE, and then once you go on site, it'll say follow, and you click following, and that allows you to follow us with AABE. And then we'll also talk about the hashtag of how you trending. So we're actually following 2 different types of hashtags today. We're following the ask, which is pound ask AABE, and that's also in your email, and we're following pound AABE 2014. So as we're seeing the conversation, we're going to be using this during the conference, and our moderator will be reading questions from Twitter that we have from you in the room, and then those who are not in the room as well, because we want to engage internal versus external folks who are attending the conference today. So that's what our page looks like. So you'll see on the left-hand side, it'll say compose a tweet. The right-hand side is more so people who are tweeting about us. So you'll see different things that we're following on our page. So you'll see U.S. Cellular, I believe, and then you'll see PR Energy, and then you'll see more as well. So we're following different places, different organizations through AABE. So we actually are using social media already, and we have been. We're just ramping up our efforts with this conference. Next slide, please. This is how you post a tweet. For those who are new at it, Byron, are you in the room? Okay, in the back, please just turn around and see him. Wave your hand, so he can help you, the one waving his hand, to set you up. It'll probably take you all of a minute and a half. The only hardest part about doing social media is remembering your passwords. So that's really the hardest part I find when you're doing that. So you post a tweet on Twitter this way. And so your actual _AABE is our username. Your name will be whatever your username is, and your picture will populate as well. So it's important that you understand that if you cannot tweet from your company site, if you have a company-sponsored site, just understand the lay of the land. But if you have personal, you can do personal tweets with no problem. Please, if nothing else, says, hey, I'm having a great time meeting my other professionals at AABE. Or you want to post a photograph as well. At the very bottom, you'll see add photo. Really like that feature. Click that feature. You can add a picture you took last night. You can add a picture you took earlier today. You can also add, and on our site, the location is disabled because we're all over the country, but you can actually add and enable that so it'll show that you're here in Houston, Texas, for example. And the little squiggly is all on the right-hand side, and red on our box is how you actually post. Now, people didn't know this, but you can actually amend posts and delete them. There are several posts. Social media has become so large that there are so many organizations that have incorporated it today. No longer is the news cycle one that you have to wait for the 5 o'clock news. It's instantaneous. In 2, 3, 4 seconds, you'll learn about any major crisis happening in the United States of America or the world. News travels fast. So those of you that said you're here at AABE, chances are someone's maybe following you on your pages, finding out where you are and saying, oh, hi, that's great. I need to continue to follow them because they seem like they're having a great time at that conference in Houston, Texas. Next slide, please. This is our Facebook page. So we also have been posting on Facebook for some time now, but we want followers and we want likes. So when you go there and you see the thumbs up, just click it. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know for sure how we're doing. And we also, when you do that, you can post photographs as well. And we do have administrative privileges on here. So I will caution all of you to protect your privacy settings. Ensure that you go through and just make sure you check it out and ensure that your privacy session sectors, I should say, or your privacy settings are set, because you want to make sure you have some sort of filter, if you will, on who's able to see all your information. But on Facebook, you can post as your status, you can post photos, or you can post an event. Say you're having a big meeting or something for your organization. At the very bottom, kind of in the middle on the left-hand side, you can see offer/events. You're able to do it as well, and you can also put of course, your logo in your background and just basically update information. So we do a lot of managing of different sites, and this is how we do it using these social media tools. Okay, next slide. How to use Twitter, we've already talked about that. You can set up your iCloud password or your Google platform. Follow us, post us, engage us. Now, I will mention to you that right now, for those who have iPhones, my iPhone users, hold your hands up, okay. All right, my Samsung Galaxy and all the Droid people, all right. All right, well, it's important that you use the platform for it. So you actually can go online right now and find AABE, search AABE in your Google Play Store and download our app. You can also go to the Apple platform and download our app right now. They're both free and have an opportunity to go ahead and engage us that way socially. So just want to give you a quick reminder, we will be tweeting during the session today. Our moderator will be asking questions and taking questions, and we ask you to be involved with us. So our last slide would basically focus on following the hashtag at AskAABE and pound AABE 2014. Any general questions before I leave the stage? If you need help with your social media, Byron in the back will be happy to help you, and we look forward to a great conference. Thank you.
And join me in welcoming Ms. Terry Stringer, President of the Houston chapter of the American Association of Blacks in Energy. Terry.
Hello, fellow AABers, and welcome to the city of Houston, of course, in Texas. Many of you may have been wondering about what just happened here, where we actually had a Pledge of Allegiance to the state of Texas. Well, Texas, many years ago, used to be its own nation. And so we still say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of Texas, I guess as a memorial to that existence of the now state as part of the Union. I want to welcome you all to the fourth largest city in the United States. Just some trivial facts that you may not be aware of. As of the last census, which occurred in 2010, Houston is now the most diverse city in the United States. Actually, the population of Houston breaks down as to the way that it will look in the future, which is about 40% Anglo, 38% Hispanic, and about 17% African American, and then the Asian population is at about 11%. So it's a very diverse city with 92 or so languages spoken here. So I want you all to take the time to get to know the city of Houston, and we certainly welcome having you here. To give you a little bit more about the city of Houston, I'm now going to introduce our comptroller. His name is Ron Green, and one of the things that I always like about Mr. Green, and that you'll notice, is he always wears some really conservative green socks. So if you get a chance to meet him in the future, ask him to show you his socks. Mr. Green?
Well, good afternoon. Thank you. Welcome to Houston. I tell you, I like to be known for a lot of things. The fact that I deal with a $19 billion budget every day, and the underlying thing that I'm known for is my socks means I have to work on something, but at least I can make the correlation between money and green. So that is the great thing. First of all, let me take the opportunity to welcome you on behalf of our mayor, Anise Parker, on behalf of all of the elected officials in the city of Houston, and on behalf of the independent office of the Houston City Controller. It is a great opportunity to have you back here in town. The energy capital of the world, where else would you be? And so for us, when we talk about what has gone on in Houston and what has been driving Houston, obviously it's been part of the energy sector. And for us, we like to tell people that we've been working on the LIFO method. And we were the last in the recession, we were the first out. And that is because of a lot of what goes on in the oil and gas industry. One of the other things that we want to let people know is that we are so much more than just the energy capital of the world. We have a huge space center, we have a huge medical center, we have a huge education supersector. All of these things create what Houston is today. So we're excited about the fact that you will get an opportunity to see that. Houston is a very diverse city, as is mentioned before. We used to be a very biracial city. Now we cannot really pinpoint one ethnic majority. Over 80 languages and dialects are spoken here. You can see around the city that we are diverse as it relates to our arts. We're diverse as it relates to the neighborhoods that are around. And so while you're here, we want to encourage you to get out and get out and about and see the city. Now, Houston's known for a lot of things, and as we said before, we're diverse. We are known for the fact that we are one of the coolest cities. We are one of the best cities for young people, one of the best cities for women, one of the best places to start a business. And what that all means is that Houston is open for business. And I know that because of you being professionals, you know that in the energy sector, we still have some room to climb. We have a ways to go. And certainly Houston recognizes that. So as you take care of your business, know that the city of Houston is behind you. Know that elected officials in this city want to see more of you in higher positions. We want to make sure that we have an industry that is just not for one particular individual. So on behalf of all of us who represent you and the 2.5 million people that I represent, I want to welcome you to Houston and make sure you spend a lot of money. Thank you.
And I'll second that for him. Now I'd like to introduce Mr. John Rolfe, who is actually the Chief Operating Officer for the Houston Visitors Bureau. And he probably has some even more staggering facts about this wonderful city. Mr. Rolfe?
Thank you so much, Terry, and good afternoon. I tell you, it's a great day to be in Houston, but I have to tell you also, in my opinion, every day is a great day to be in Houston. And that's because I love bringing visitors and new people into our city and also seeing our great residents here in the city as well. And by the way, the weather like this today, it's like this every day. So anytime you come back, you'll find this great weather. I have to tell you, they were asking me a little bit about, I was wondering why I got selected to at least give a quick welcome to you all. And they said, well, this is a very smart group, and quite frankly, we want the smartest person we can find. And so they asked that person, and it's my understanding the person said no. So they said, okay, let's see, if we can find the funniest person, because we want this to be fun for everyone. And so they found the funniest person, and that person said no again. So then they said, well, let's find the best looking person that we can find, because this is a great looking crowd, and I can see that as I look out here. And so with that, they asked the best looking person they could find, and I finally said yes. And that's because I didn't want to say no 3 times. But somebody got that over here. In all sincerity, we're glad to have you here. You've heard a lot about our city already. I understand part of your topic is about diversity, and as the presenters before me have said, we are the most diverse city in the U.S. We're certainly known as the energy capital as well. But with over 92 consulates and over 80 languages spoken, you can see how diverse we are. And so we know the importance here in Houston of diversity and its economic benefit. But in addition to the energy capital, we are also, as Controller Green said, we're certainly aerospace, we're certainly the medical community, and we just have a lot of great things here in Houston. And I hope that you will have the time throughout the week to take in some of the fun things here in the area, our wonderful shopping, our wonderful dining with over 8,000 restaurants, and certainly our wonderful entertainment. And don't worry, we don't have cameras and we don't YouTube, so you can have a great time and no one will know. But as I leave you, I would just say I hope you remember Houston as the city of 4 H's, and that's the great history, heritage, heroes, and certainly our great hospitality. So as you enjoy your week, I hope you have a great conference, have a safe return home, and please do come back again and visit us here in Houston. Have a great day.
So they say that everything is bigger in Texas, so we couldn't just start. We had to give you a lot of pomp and circumstance before we were actually going to get started. So I really do want to just welcome you all. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Paula Roberts Jackson. I'm the president and CEO of AABE, and I am thrilled to have all of you here with us in Houston. You know, our organization, like many, is judged on our ability to fulfill our mission. And this conference is just one way in which we do that. And so I want you to really know and enjoy all that you are here to experience this week, because our mission is to be able to inform and educate our communities about energy policy, about technology, about the environment. And the way that we best do that is to be educated and informed ourselves. And one way that we educate and inform ourselves is through this conference. But if you're not interested in policy, although I can't imagine that you wouldn't be, we've got other things that are going on here. If you're interested in leadership, we've got sessions about leadership. Real important one tomorrow, conversation on the C-suite, and then we've got a couple of leadership development sessions on Friday. If you're interested in the environment, technology, sustainability, you know that you need to make our Game Changer workshops. And all of this is to prepare us to do what it is that we as an association are here to do. But I want to say something else. We as an organization, I and my staff, do this for our members because we want you to be better at what you do every day. And I know that the better you are, the better I am as an organization. But the honest truth is, I don't really do it for you, I do it for me. Because we are here to serve people who are not here. And the only way we can give them voice is to make sure that our voice is strong and that it's credible. And so I welcome you and I thank you for being here, and I want to leave you with the thought that I have muddled around in my mind for the last year. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, but one such principle, Ujima, is my favorite. Collective work and responsibility to build and maintain our community together, to work together to help one another within our community. Let's get to work. Thank you for being here. So I'm going to bring out our conference chair, a tremendous leader, a good friend, Ms. Talisa Tolliver.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right. So welcome to the 2014 conference. I am so pleased to be here as a member of AABE, as an employee of Chevron, and as your 2014 conference coordinator. On behalf of the Planning Committee, the Southwest region, I want to welcome you. I want to be the last person to welcome you because I know that you've had about 10 people to do that. So I would like to thank every single individual who helped make this conference a success. And I'm calling it a success from minute one. I would like to thank the members of the board whose contacts and relationships helped to secure the wonderful speakers we have for this conference. And I think Paula is going to let me be more specific with my thanks at the gala, so I'm going to move on. When we first thought about this conference, we wanted it to be solution-focused, and we wanted to make it interactive. We did some things a little different, not just for different sakes, but to advance our organization in terms of technology, efficiency, and effectiveness. We wanted every discussion to be seen through 3 lenses. 1, as an industry professional, 2, as entrepreneurs, and 3, as AABE, representing minority and low-income communities and ratepayers. So for every subject that you hear during this conference, we want you to ask the question, what does this mean to me as a professional in this industry? How do I take advantage of these opportunities as an entrepreneur? And how should this subject impact the policies and positions of AABE? We want some topics to be a bit provocative. So if everything you hear during this conference is what you've heard before, and if you agree with all the points of view you hear, then we have failed the mission. How can we defend our positions with confidence if we don't know the arguments on the other side? We wanted this conference to look forward and question what we need to do in response to industry trends that are not new, but have the potential to change the course of our careers, our economic viability, and the relevance of AABE. While the areas of sustainability, air quality and coal, and shale oil and gas are not new, failure to recognize how these areas could change the game for us could lead to detrimental outcomes. We also have some focused discussions on leadership and what it really means and what it really takes, how fear and reluctance to change can cloud our view and our vision. AABE members, conference participants, this is your conference. And what you receive this week, I promise you, will be directly equal to how much you engage, how much you question, and how much you challenge. I hope we continue the great tradition of the conferences before us, with learning, with engagement of the speakers, and of course, a lot of fun. As we think about our purpose as a body of AABE members, there's a question of whether it is better to tread water and go where the wave takes you, or swim against the wave to a known destination. My fellow AABE members, I say, let's swim. Thank you. So I'm going to bring up Mr. Ralph, our board chair. I'd like for you guys to give him a resounding round of applause. He is our board chair. We're very proud of him, and he's also the global head of customer operations and business transformation. I got that out. AIG Property Casualty. Members, Ralph Cleveland.
Let me see the hands of the first timers. Yeah, you in for a treat. I know you when you walked in here. This was a bit different for you. I know that to be the case because I remember my first AABE conference. And I know what it meant to me, and I know what this organization has meant to me moving forward. And over the last, 10 plus years that I've been involved in AABE, and what a blessing it's been for me. So I get the opportunity, and first let me also tell you, if no one's told you yet, you look so good sitting out there. But I get the opportunity to share with you a few thoughts about the state of energy in Black America. And I'm going to do something a little bit different this year. Now, normally, I would have prepared for you a number of statistics. And I don't know if any of you are around back in 2012, I had the opportunity to address the group and talk about a few of those statistics. We actually flipped those statistics around to talk about not the sort of the typical conversation that we have as it relates to disparities and or opportunities. We flipped those statistics around to really talk about what were the clear opportunities that we had in our community to advance the ball. And we used the statistics, really, to give us an indication of where we needed to go to work. But today, what I want to do I'm going to give you a few statistics toward the end, but what I really want to do is give you a framework. I want to give you a framework, a set of lenses through which you can view the world from where you are and understand whether or not there's work to be done. Because in so many of these instances, I don't know about you, but I don't need a lot of statistics when I show up in the boardroom. Okay? I don't need a lot of statistics when I walk through some of the classrooms. All I need is a lens to understand what I ought to be looking at and what am I looking for. And so I want to give you a set of lenses through which you can view the world. These lenses, really, it doesn't matter what your perspective is. Anyone can put on these lenses and begin to understand whether or not there are issues that need to be addressed. You can begin to understand the state of energy in Black America. So let's talk a little bit about that. Now we're here, this 2014 conference, we're going to talk about emerging policies and issues. We're going to talk about technological advancements. We're going to talk about strategic and innovative solutions. We're going to talk about industry trends. And all of that has an impact on the economy of what we are engaged in. The cost of the goods and services, the cost of energy that impacts our consumer base. And for us, it's about impact. What is the impact to a consumer base in our community for African Americans and for minorities? And then we also need to begin to think about that and broaden it. And I'm going to try to move forward fairly quickly because I don't want to take up too much time from our speaker as we're running a little bit behind. We're going to also talk about environmental stewardship, social responsibility, and all of that really has to do with how sustainable is the model. How sustainable is this, I will call it an ecosystem. We are part of an ecosystem. And that part of that has to do with an environment. It's not just an environment from a climate change standpoint. It's an environment in terms of where you live every day. It's an environment in terms of where you work every day. That's an ecosystem. And whenever you examine an ecosystem, when a scientist looks at an ecosystem from a dispassionate point of view, they always look at, tell me who's thriving in the ecosystem and tell me who's struggling in the ecosystem. So I want you as members of AABE to always sort of have that broad perspective of when you are sitting in your work environment, when you are sitting in your home environment, what is the health of the ecosystem? Because the healthier the ecosystem, the more of the constituents in the ecosystem will be thriving. That's just the bottom line. And so what we want to do as you think about the state of energy in Black America is to think about that ecosystem and what are the critical things you need to look at in order to determine whether or not that environment is healthy or not. So let's talk about these lenses. First lens that I always want you to have on as an AABE member is what's the impact to the consumer? What's the impact to the consumer? When we think about that, I'll just give you this statistic. You know, the shale gas boom has had a tremendous impact on the cost of energy here in the United States. And we know that just from that standpoint, the average family is saving well over $300 over a year's time just in disposable income. Increase in disposable income due to the fact that the shale boom has had such a significant impact. Those numbers may not seem significant to some of you, but for many families, that disposable income, when you think about their utility bill, when you think about their energy costs, that's a pretty big impact. And so as we think about how energy policy ends up impacting who pays for what and who benefits in this economy, you always need to have that lens of what's the impact to the consumer and how do we provide voice to the impact to the consumer. So I always want you to have that lens and be thinking about that. Some of you are more engaged in that than others. Some of you work in regulatory and you're always doing surveys of the cost structure relative to a regulated utility, as an example. And when we think about the cost of developing reserves, when we think about the cost of deploying technology, we always need to have in mind this idea of what's going to be the broader impact to the consumer, and particular for our community. What can our community afford? Can our community afford distributed generation? Can our community afford smart technology, smart infrastructure? What can our community afford? How do we make it more affordable? How do we provide access? And it doesn't take a lot for you to look around to understand whether or not these things are having a positive or negative effect on our community. If you think about it from a standpoint of what's the cost to the consumer The next lens I always want you to have is, what are the environmental impacts? What are the environmental impacts? And I want you to broaden that out. We always talk about things like climate change. We talk about things like air quality. We talk about land use. It was an interesting conversation that we had with our driver here in Houston, who was talking about just the gentrification that's occurring and the movement that's occurred relative to the various wards here in Houston. All those things are a concern. Those things have impact to our community. So we need to think about land use. We need to think about water policy. We need to think about the work environment, though, as well. The physical hazards that are associated with what we do every day. Are those things disparately impacting our community? How many of y'all know typically we're on the front lines? We're on the front lines in just about every situation, in just about every environment. And so that being the case, we need to pay very close attention to those physical hazards associated with getting the work done every day. We also need to be thinking about, from an environmental standpoint, you hear it quite often, environmental justice and the like. I want you to always have that lens on when you think about that. That connects back to land use. You know, where are those, in terms of some negative environmental impact, where are those facilities located? In so many instances, they're located in and around our communities. And so how do we assure that we are being very, very thoughtful in terms of the location and siting of those facilities? The third lens, I only have just a few minutes left with you, but the third lens I always want you to have is associated, again, a bit more with the economics in terms of who gets the opportunity. Who's getting the opportunity for the jobs? Who's getting the opportunity for career advancement? Who's getting opportunity for business development? And in so many of those things, we are, and part of it is we have to be better prepared. That is why it's so important that you show up here. We have to be better prepared to take on those opportunities when they present themselves. Many of you, I've shared with you that as it relates to STEM students and supporting the STEM programs around the country, many of our students in our communities are one full letter grade behind their peers. And so we've got to do what we can to support the academic achievement of our community. How do we go about doing that? How do we go about changing the script associated with that? When we look at entry-level jobs and being prepared for those, it's so important that we think about that. Middle management jobs. Many of you, you work in environments, I don't need to tell you whether or not African Americans and minorities are getting opportunities relative to first-line supervision and middle management. I don't necessarily need to tell you a whole lot about C-suite opportunities. You can look around and as it relates to those C-suite opportunities, there are 5 African Americans who are currently chairman or 6, actually chairman or CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. And none of those are in the energy sector. And so these are things that as you look around, as you wear these 3 lenses that I've described to you, I think it gives you a pretty good sense for where we are. I want you to have the ability to understand the state of energy in Black America, but we're not just talking about the state of energy in Black America. We're talking about the state of energy where you are. We're talking about the state of energy where you live. The state of energy for your corporation, the state of energy for your entrepreneurial endeavor. That's what I'm talking about. That's where the opportunity is. If you will wear those lenses and begin to view the world through those lenses, I guarantee you it will reveal new choices to you about how to articulate what's going on, new choices to you about how that we might be able to collectively do something about it. And so over time, what you will hear from AABE is more of the statistics of what I have shared with you. But what I want you to walk away with today is the framework, the three lenses that we talked about. Okay? So, I next get the opportunity to bring forward our keynote speaker for this session. And we are so thrilled to have with us Mr. J. Robinson West, Robin West. Mr. West is a senior advisor for the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, which he became senior advisor last year, October 2013. And he's a former chairman and the founder of PFC Energy, where he advised chief executives of leading national and international oil and gas companies on corporate strategy, portfolio management, acquisitions, divestitures, and investor relations. Before founding PFC, Mr. West served in the Reagan administration as the Assistant Secretary of Interior for Policy, Budget, and Administration. That department has 75,000 employees, has a budget of $6 billion with a B. And he conceived and implemented the 5-year OCS, Outer Continental Shelf, leasing schedule and managed a $14 billion per year OCS policy. He has served on many government boards and commissions. He currently is the co-chairman of the German Marshall Fund of the United States, a board member of the Center of National Interest, and on the board of advisors of the National Interest magazine. He is also a member of the National Petroleum Council and the Council on Foreign Relations. In addition, he's president of the Wyeth Foundation of American Art. He received his BA from the University of Carolina in Chapel Hill, his JD from Temple University, and was admitted to the Pennsylvania Bar. Please help me in welcoming Mr. J. Robinson West.